Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to learn how to make this beautiful turtleneck waffle stitch sweater. It's inspired by our previous cropped sleeves that were also of the waffle stitch, and I just thought that so many people would love this design instead of the cropped sleeves. So let's get into the tutorial. This is an addition to our already existing collection of waffle stitch projects that you can see on the screen. So if you're intrigued by any of these designs, just make sure you check out the link, the description box, so that you can try out some of these projects. All the tutorials are on the channel, and the written patterns are available for you to purchase on all my online shops. Thank you. So for the materials, I used a measuring tape, a pair of scissors, a darning needle, a 4mm crochet hook, yarn. The yarn that I'm using is milk cotton. It is 150 yards. So I used approximately 2 packets, which is a total of 20 balls of yarn. Each ball is 50 grams and each ball is 150 yards. If you would like the written pattern, it's already available on all my online shops. So let's begin. Alright, you're going to get your hook and your yarn, and you're going to start off with a slip knot. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, and yarn over, pull through. So we're going to start off with a chain of 102. So regardless of what size you're making for, you're going to make a chain of 102 stitches or chains. So yarn over, pull through, that's 1 chain, 2, 3, 4. This design is worked from top to bottom. So what we are creating right now is the neckline opening of our cropped sleeves, where your head is going to pass, and this should be a basic 102 chains. Regardless of what size that you're making for. Alright, so I have my 102 chains, and you're going to make sure that your chain is not twisted, and you're going to slip stitch into the very first chain that you made to form a round. So insert your hook, pull through all. So you've created a round. Now we're going on to round 1. You're going to make a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch, and then into that same exact space where the chain 2 is coming from, you're going to place a double crochet, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. Continue to double crochet in each and every chain. So yarn over, insert your hook into the next chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So double crochet in each and every chain until you make it all the way around the starting chain. So go all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the beginning of the round. Alright guys, we've made it to the end of the round, and I'm placing my last double crochets into the very last chains. And at the end of this round, you should have a total of 102 double crochets, and you're going to slip stitch on top of the very first double crochet. Skip over the chain 2 because it doesn't count as a stitch, and slip stitch on top of the very first double crochet of the round. And make sure your project is not twisted, as you can see this. Now we're going on to round 2. For round 2, you're going to make a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch, and turn your work. You're going to start off with a front post double crochet into the very first stitch. So go under the stitch and push it to the top and place a normal double crochet just like this. That's a front post double crochet. And then you're going to go into the next stitch with 1 double crochet. and then 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 1 and then the second one, and then 1 double crochet into the next stitch. So this is the back side of our work where we don't get the waffle stitch. So 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 1 double crochet into the next stitch. So keep doing that all the way around, and I'll meet you back towards the end of my round. So we're coming to the end of the round, and I've just placed my 2 front post double crochets here, and then I'll place a double crochet into the next stitch, which is the second last stitch, and then into the final stitch we're going to place a front post double crochet, just like that, and then skip over the first chain 2 of the round and slip stitch into the top of the first front post double crochet of the round, just like that, and that marks the end of round 2. Alright guys, now I've placed a few stitch markers, which are supposed to be 4. Now you're going to turn your work, after your round 2, you're going to turn your work onto the right side where the waffle stitch is supposed to be worked. So you can see my slip stitches here, and this is our very first box of the waffle stitch. You're not going to count this one. You're going to count 4 boxes outwards, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then you mark the stitch in the line of the waffle stitch, as you can see here, and you're going to do the same exact thing on this side. After this box in the middle, you count 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then you mark that box as well, that stitch that's in line with the waffle stitch. So the slip stitches here, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then the box, then 1, 2, 3, and 4, which makes a total of 9 boxes in between the 2 stitch markers at the back of our work. The back of our work is this because that's where we end our rounds, and that's the side that's going to have the seam line of this project. And then you're going to count, after this one, you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 boxes, and then you mark the next stitch in the line of the waffle stitch. And then you do the same exact thing on this side. After placing this stitch, this one, count 8 boxes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then mark the next stitch that's in line with the waffle stitch. And then when we turn our project to the front, that will give us a total of 9 boxes in between the 2 stitch markers that we just placed on the side. So we're going to place our work like this, and you can see these 4 stitch markers. These are the points where we're going to create our increases in order to create a Raglan design. So let's go on to round 3, and round 3 is going to be an increase round. You can see we ended our round 2 like this. So you're going to make a chain of 2 and turn your work. And then you're going to start off with a double crochet into the very first stitch, a front post double crochet into the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 1 front post double crochet into the next, 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 1 front post double crochet into the next. So keep doing this until we get to the stitch marker. Alright, so we are placing 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then the next stitch has our stitch marker. You're going to remove the stitch marker, and then it's supposed to receive a front post double crochet. So place your front post double crochet there, and then behind the same stitch on top of it here, you're going to place 2 double crochets, front post double crochet into the stitch with the previous front post double crochet. So move backwards and place a front post double crochet, and then 2 double crochets into the next stitch, front post double crochet into the stitch with the previous 2 front post double crochets. So yarn over and move backwards, and then place your front post double crochet there, and that will create a total of 3 front post double crochets all in the same stitch. You're going to mark the middle one with a stitch marker because that's our increase point, and then you're going to go into the next stitch with 2 double crochets, front post double crochet into the next stitch, and then we're back to our original pattern. 2 normal double crochets in each of the next 2 stitches, and then a front post double crochet into the next, and then 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, front post double crochet into the next. So do that until you get to your next stitch marker. Alright, so we've reached the next stitch marker. We're going to increase the same exact way that we've done here. So let me just demonstrate that one more time. Remove the stitch marker, and that stitch should be one that's going to receive a front post. So you first make your front post double crochet there, and then 2 double crochets on top of the same exact stitch, 1 and 2, and then front post double crochet into the same stitch with the previous front post double crochet, and then 2 double crochets into the next stitch, 1 front post double crochet into the stitch with the previous 2 front post double crochets, and then this will create 3 front post double crochets in the same stitch. You mark the middle one, and then place 2 double crochets into the next stitch, just like that, and then front post double crochet into the next stitch, and then you go back to the usual pattern. 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and a front post double crochet into the next. So we're going to go all the way around, and when you get to the stitch with the stitch marker, since this is our round of increase, you create an increase there just like we've done at this point and at this point. We shall do the same exact thing at this point and at this point, and then wind up our round as usual. Alright, so we're coming to the end of the round, and we are ending with a double crochet into the very last stitch of the round. Make sure you place your stitch markers where they're supposed to be. Don't forget. Alright. So we have our 4 stitch markers, and you can see the box that has been shaped, that has been formed, and this is the beginning of our Raglan shaping. You can see how beautiful it is. I can't wait to see the final look of this project. So after your last double crochet here, you're going to slip stitch into the very first double crochet of the round. You skip over the chain 2 because it doesn't count as a stitch, and then slip stitch on top of the first double crochet of the round. So we're going on to round 4, I believe. Yes, round 4 is basically going to be the same as round 2. No increases, but it's worked on the back side of the work. So you make a chain of 2 and turn your work, front post double crochet into the very first stitch, and then 1 double crochet into the next stitch. And then the repeat for this round is 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 1 double crochet into the next. So go all the way around doing this, and if so far you're getting value from this video and you're liking what you're seeing, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and share it with some of your friends. one front post in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 1 double crochet into the next. So keep doing this until you get to the stitch with the stitch marker. So when you get to the stitch with the stitch marker, you remove your stitch marker and then place the stitch that's supposed to be placed there. In this case, it's a double crochet, and then replace into the new round. Replace your stitch marker there, and then front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches and 1 double crochet into the next. So repeat that all the way around without any increases. So this is a plain round. Do that all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the end of the round. Alright, we are coming to the end of the round, and you should end your round with a front post double crochet into the very last stitch, and then you're going to slip stitch on top of the first front post double crochet of the round. Sorry for the rain, let me try and close the windows. Alright, so we are done with round 4. This is round 4, yes. And we've ended with a front post double crochet, and you can see the stitch markers are still well placed. If we fold over our work like this, this is what exactly we want, because this is creating coverage for the sleeves, and then this for the body of the cardigan. So we're going on to round 5. For round 5, we start with a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch. Turn our work onto the right side and place a double crochet into the very first stitch. Front post double crochet into the next stitch. And then the repeat for this round is 1 front post in each of the next 2 stitches and front post double crochet into the next. This round is also not a round of increase, so we're just going to repeat that all the way around, and don't forget to replace the stitch markers into the same exact stitch of the new round. So no increases yet, just a plain round. So this stitch has to get a front post double crochet, so I will place my front post double crochet there and then replace the stitch marker into the same stitch of the new round. And then you're going to just continue working your pattern as usual until you come to the end of the round. So we're coming to the end of round 5, and you should end it with a double crochet into the very last stitch, and then slip stitch on top of the first double crochet of the round. We're going on to round 6, and round 6 should be the same exact as round 4. No increases. Chain 2, turn your work. Start with a front post double crochet into the very first stitch, and then double crochet into the next stitch, and then the repeat from now on is 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches and 1 double crochet into the next. 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches and 1 double crochet into the next. So repeat that all the way around, and don't forget to replace the stitch markers. All right, we're coming to the end of round 6, and I'm placing my last front post double crochet into the very last stitch, and then slip stitch on top of the first front post double crochet of the round. So this marks the end of round 6, and it's on the wrong side. So round 7, you're going to make a chain of 2 and turn your work, and from now onwards we are going to keep repeating rounds 3 to 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, in that order. Keep repeating those rounds. That means the next round is going to be an increase round, just like round 3. And then you repeat round 4, and then 5 and 6, and then keep repeating that until you get to your armpit level. I will let you know how many rounds that I'll work for the size that I'm making for, and I'll also recommend how many rounds to make for the different sizes, and then we shall pick it up from there. Alright guys, so we ended up with a total of 18 rounds. 18 rounds total, and you should be on the wrong side. So this is for a size small. For all the other sizes, just check on the screen. I'll be recommending a number of rounds. And if you're to take a measurement from the top up to here, we have a total of 6 inches. So for the different sizes, this will differ depending on what size that you're making for. So this is for a size small, and you should end on a round on the wrong side of the work. And it's a non-increase round. So we have 18 rounds here. Alright guys, after your last round here, I'm going to get a separate piece of yarn in order to create my extension in the armpits, and I'm going to attach my yarn starting with a slip knot. I'm going to attach my yarn in that line of increase. You can see it here. Locate it and attach your yarn into that stitch. Attach your yarn there, and then we are going to make a chain of 14. So whatever chain that you decide to make for the extension should be a multiple of 3 plus 2 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. For all the other sizes, just check on the screen, and I'll recommend a number of chains to make. So from here, you're going to make sure you attach into that stitch, still in that line of increase on the opposite side. So make a slip stitch there and make a chain of 1. Alright, so after making your chain of 1, you're going to cut your yarn, and then you're going to pull through. You're going to repeat the same exact process on this side. If you've done a total of 14 chains, or whatever chains that you've done on your first side, repeat the same exact thing on the opposite side. So I'm going to attach my yarn and make my 14 chains. And make sure your chain is not so tight, so that you can go into it when we come back to work our round. And then slip stitch on the opposite side. Make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn. So what we've done here, we've separated the sleeves from the main body. Now we are going to go back to where we left off with our previous round. And we're going to work a few rows down before we go onto the sleeves. We want some little length downwards before we can go onto the sleeves. But you should make sure, if you take a measurement across here, you have approximately half your bust measurement. As you can see here, we have 16. So the bust measurement that we are considering for this tutorial is 32 inches, and 16 is half of our bust measurement. It can even stretch further, but I don't want this to be tightly fitted, so it's just enough, just exact. So from here, you're going to make a chain of 2, turn your work, And from now on, we are no longer increasing at all. So you start off with a double crochet, and then front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and front post double crochet into the next. Repeat that until you get to your chain that you just made on one of the sides of the Alright, so we should end with a front post right before the chain. So I've placed my front post double crochet here. Now we're going onto the chain, and we're starting off with a double crochet into the first chain, double crochet into the next, and keep double crocheting all the way across. Just keep double crocheting all the way across the chain. So you should be having the same exact number of stitches that you made for your chain, your extension chain in the armpits. When you make it across, you're going to go into the next stitch on the body of the cardigan with a front post double crochet into that stitch here, and then you're going to place 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then front post double crochet into the next stitch. So we are back to our normal pattern, and you're going to work until the end of the round. All right, so we're going to work our pattern until we get to the next chain, and we shall do the same exact thing that we've done here on this chain, and then work our pattern as usual until we get to the end of the round. So we've ended with a front post here, and we're going to place 1 double crochet in each of our 14 stitches, or whatever number of chains that you made for the extension. All right, so when you make it all the way across, you're going to come back to the body of the cardigan and then place a front post double crochet into this stitch, and then go back to our usual pattern of 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then a front post into the next, and repeat that all the way across until the end of the round. Alright guys, we're coming to the end of the round, and we are ending with a double crochet into the very last stitch, and then we're going to slip stitch on top of the very first double crochet of the round. Okay, so the next round you're going to make a chain of 2 and turn your work, and it is going to be the round on the wrong side without any increases. So from now on, we're going to just start with front post double crochet into the next stitch, and then front post into each of the next 2 stitches, and then double crochet into the next. So I hope you remember that round. I'm going to take you across the armpit extension so that you see what that looks like. But you're basically doing the same exact thing that we were doing for the non-increase round on the wrong side of our work. All right, so when you come to the extension in the armpits, so I've placed a double crochet here. So front post in each of the next 2 stitches, and then double crochet into the next. Front post in each of the next 2 stitches. So we're just going ahead to repeat the pattern of the round. So we are trying to introduce the waffle stitch on our chain of extension under the armpits. And to do that, you have to blend in the pattern onto what we have introduced. So we've placed our 2 front post double crochets and then a double crochet here. And then you're going to just continue working. 1 front post in each of the next 2 stitches and then a double crochet into the next. Okay, so let's see what we have. You can see the waffle stitch has started forming as opposed to what we have here. Here we have just a plain double crochet look, but here we have introduced the waffle stitch and you can see it under the armpits. So you're just going to continue working 1 front post in each of the next 2 stitches and then a double crochet into the next stitch, and that's the repeat for this round. Just repeat that all the way across and then across the extension chain and then come back to the end of the round. Alright guys, we've come to the end of the round and we've ended with a front post double crochet, and you're going to slip stitch on top of the first front post double crochet of the round. And you should note that this is the same exact round as round 4 when we were working here. Round 4 didn't have any increases and it's worked on the wrong side of the work. So we're basically going to repeat round 4 and 5. Just look back at this point here and locate round 4 and 5, and we're going to just keep alternating between those 2 rounds until the next round is supposed to resemble round 5. So you make a chain of 2 and turn your work, double crochet in the very first stitch and then front post double crochet in the next stitch, and the repeat from now on is 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches and a front post double crochet into the next, all the way around until the end of the round. And this round ends with a double crochet into the very last stitch, and then you will slip stitch on top of the first double crochet of the round. So I'll be placing timestamps so that you can follow along easily. So we've come to the end of the round and we've ended with a double crochet into the last stitch. You're going to slip stitch into the very first double crochet of the round. So just turn your work onto the back side where you have the same line, as you can see here, where you end your rounds, like this. And we're going to attach our yarn in you're going to start off with a slip knot. Now you're going to look at this area here and we're going to attach our yarn. Remember, this row is worked on the we are working in a way that we are on the opposite side of the previous row. We are working in the opposite direction of the previous row. So the stitches are facing this side, that means I'm going to face this side. So I'm going to get the stitch here before the front post, this one here, and I'm going to attach my yarn there. Make a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch, and into that very stitch I'm going to place 1 double crochet. And we are working on the right side. As you can see, the waffle stitch is on the side where we are working this round. So we're going to go into this stitch with the front post, and we're going to place a front post double crochet. Find a way of placing a front post in this stitch. The same stitch with this front post double crochet. Place a front post double crochet there, and then you're going to make 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So basically we are working into the foundation chain of the extension chain that we did under the armpits. So after this, you're going to place a front post double crochet into the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Front post double crochet into the next stitch, just like that. So we are kind of maintaining the waffle stitch. So from here, 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and front post double crochet into the next. 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and front post double crochet into the next. One double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, which are the last stitches of the extension chain. All right, after your 2 double crochets here, you're going to go into this stitch with this front post double crochet, and you're going to place a front post double crochet into the same exact stitch, just like that. And then we're going to go to the body of the cardigan, the original body. So 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and front post double crochet into the next. So for this part, you already know what to do because the stitches are very clear, and where you're supposed to place a double crochet or a front post double crochet is already predetermined by the previous piece, the yoke of the cardigan. So just keep repeating until you come to the beginning of the round. Alright guys, we're coming to the end of the round, and I'm placing a front post in this stitch, and then we are ending with a double crochet into the very final stitch. Then you're going to skip over the chain 2 and slip stitch into the very top of the first double crochet of the round. So from now on, we are just going to go around the sleeve, repeating rounds 4 and 5, 4 and 5. Remember, the round 4 is the one worked on the wrong side, and then round 5 is the one that's worked on the right side, but both rounds are not increased rounds. So you just chain 2, turn your work, make sure you're always working in the opposite direction of the previous round, and then start working your pattern. Repeating rounds 4 and 5 until you get the sleeve length of your choice. So I'll be back to mention how many rounds that I did for the sleeves as well as the main body of the cardigan, the midsection, in my next clip. Another thing that I wanted to mention, you're just going to create your very first sleeve, and then for the second sleeve, remember I told you for the first sleeve we had to turn our work at the back and then attach our yarn in order to work the first sleeve. Now for the second sleeve, we're going to just turn our work onto the front. Our main aim is to work in the opposite direction of the previous round. So the stitches are facing this side. That means I'm going to attach my yarn in the double crochet before the front post double crochet here. So I'll attach my yarn here and repeat the same exact process that I have just explained for the sleeve here. Alright guys, now we ended up doing a total of 39 rows for the sleeves right from the split where we created the armpit chain. We have a total of 39 rows for the sleeve, and then we have a total of 33 rows for the middle body right from the split. Still at the chain of the armpit we have a total of 33 rows to get the length of the cardigan that I wanted, and then same applies to this side, a total of 39 rows to balance the length of this sleeve and this sleeve. So if we are to take a measurement from the armpit all the way down to the wrist, we have a total of about 16 inches, and from the armpit all the way down to the base of the cardigan we have a total of around 11 inches, as you can see here. So now we're going to create a ribbing at the base of the sleeves as well as the base of the main body or the middle body of the cardigan. So I'm going to just demonstrate on one sleeve, and that's the same exact process that we are going to repeat for here, here, and the base of the second sleeve. So I'm going to demonstrate with one sleeve. Alright, so you should make sure that you ended on a round that creates the waffle stitch on the right side of the work. So to create the ribbing, you're going to make a chain of 1 and then create 2 single crochet together stitches all the way around the base of the sleeve. So insert your hook into the same stitch, pull up a loop, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all, and you're going to repeat that all the way around. Insert your hook, pull up a loop, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all. So we are trying to make the opening at the base of the sleeves a little bit smaller. So 2 single crochets together all the way around. So you can see what this is creating. It's creating a smaller opening at the base of the sleeve. Alright, so once you create the 2 single crochet together stitches, you're going to have an opening like this. You're going to slip stitch into the very first single crochet of the round. So you should have a kind of tight fitting around the wrist as compared to what we had before. So from here you're going to make a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch, and we're going to go into the same exact stitch with a double crochet, and you're going to continue to double crochet in each and every stitch all the way around. Double crochet once in each and every 2 single crochet together stitch. All right, so we're placing our last double crochet into the last 2 single crochet together stitch, and you're going to slip stitch into the very first double crochet. This is what you should have. Now we're going to start creating the ribbing of our sleeve, and to do that you're going to make a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch, and then front post double crochet into the very first stitch, and back post double crochet into the next stitch. So go to the back and push the stitch to the back, then front post double crochet into the next, and back post double crochet into the next. You're going to repeat that all the way around, and that's going to create a ribbing. A ribbing effect at the base of our sleeves. So we've come to the end of the round, and I'm placing my last back post double crochet into the last stitch, just like that, and then I'll go on top of the very first front post double crochet with a slip stitch. Now we're going on to round 2, and this is the round that we're going to repeat again and again. You're going to make a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch, and then front post double crochet in the first front post double crochet, and then back post double crochet in the back post double crochet. And you're going to repeat that 1 front post in each front post and 1 back post in each back post double crochet to maintain the lines of the ribbing. And you're going to repeat that all the way around. This is what the ribbing is going to look like. Alright, so we're coming to the end of the round, and I'm placing front post and then a back post double crochet into the very last stitch, and you're going to skip over the chain 2 and slip stitch into the very first front post double crochet. So you're going to repeat that round again and again, and I'll let you know how many rounds that I'll do for my ribbing. Alright, so we've done a total of 5 rows of front post back post double crochet, 5 rounds, and from here you're going to make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn, pull through. So you can see how the ribbing has come in, and it's going to create a really nice fitting around the wrist. So we're going to repeat the same exact process for our second sleeve, and yeah, I'm going to just go ahead and do that for the second sleeve, and I'll show you what that will look like. Alright, these are both sleeves finished, and this is what they look like. Now we're going to go onto the base and create a ribbing at the base of our piece, the middle body of our piece. Alright, now for the ribbing at the base, we are going to just go in with the stitch, the front post, back post. So you're going to make a chain of 2 right after the waffle stitch. You're going to make a chain of 2, and you're going to create 1 front post double crochet into the next stitch. So it doesn't matter what stitch is next. So this is a front post, but we are going to create a back post in it. So we're just going to go around with front post into the next stitch and back post into the next, front post into the next, back post into the next, and you're going to just repeat that all the way around for our very first round of ribbing. So the moment we get done with our very first round of ribbing, we're just going to repeat round 2 of ribbing just as we've done on the sleeves. again and again, and I'll let you know how many rounds that I will do for my middle body of the cardigan. Alright guys, I ended up doing a total of five rounds for the ribbing, and this is what the base of our piece looks like. And we're going to create a shaping around the neckline. Alright, so to create the neckline, we're going to turn our work onto the back side, where you have this loose end, the back side of our sleeves. And we are going to start with a slip knot and attach into any space between the stitches. So we have double crochet stitches for our very first round, and we're going to go somewhere next to this tail here. So I'm going to attach my yarn here in that space. We're not going into any chain or any stitch. We're going into the spaces between the stitches. So into that same space, you're going to insert your hook, pull up a loop, and then go into the next space, insert your hook, pull up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all. So that's 2 single crochets together. Alright, after our 2 single crochets together, into the next space you're going to place 1 single crochet. Okay, so after 1 stitch here, you're going to do 2 single crochets together into the next 2 spaces. And then 1 single crochet into the next space. Then 2 single crochets together. And 1 single crochet into the next space. So you're going to repeat that all the way around. So we've come to the end of the round, and you can see I've done 2 single crochets together, and then in the next space I have a single crochet here. So if you have 1 more space left, just go in it with 1 single crochet and slip stitch into the very first single crochet of the round. This is going to gather the neckline a bit, but not so much. So you can see the difference between what we had before and what we have now. Now we're going on to the next round, and it's going to be a double crochet round. So you're going to make a chain of 2, and into that same exact space you're going to place 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and keep double crocheting all the way around until you come back to the beginning of the round. Alright, so we've made it all the way around, and I'm placing my last double crochet into the last stitch here. Now you'll skip over the chain 2, which doesn't count as a stitch, and go on top of the very first double crochet of the round and place a slip stitch. Now we're going to start creating a ribbed effect for our turtleneck. So you're going to make a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch, and then into the same exact stitch you're going to place, into the same stitch, which is this one, you're going to place a front post double crochet, and then a back post double crochet into the next stitch. So yarn over, go to the back of the stitch and push the post to the back, and then create your double crochet. So that's a back post double crochet, and then front post double crochet into the next stitch. So yarn over, go under the stitch and push it to the front, and then double crochet as usual, and then back post double crochet. So we're just alternating between front post and back post double crochet all the way around. So we've come to the end of the round, and I'm placing a back post double crochet into the very last stitch. So it doesn't matter what you end with. If you have a front post, just place a front post double crochet there. So after your last stitch, skip over the chain 2 and slip stitch into the very first front post double crochet of the round. So we're going on to our next round, and this is going to be the repeat round until we get the length of the turtleneck design that we want. So you're going to make a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch, and then into that very first stitch, it's a front post, so it will get a front post double crochet, and then the next stitch is a back post, so we place a back post double crochet into that stitch. So each front post double crochet gets a front post double crochet, and each back post double crochet gets a back post double crochet all the way around. This is going to maintain the ridges of the ribbed effect, as you can see here. So keep doing that, and I'll meet you back at the end of the round. So we've come to the end of the round, and I've just placed my last back post double crochet here. Skip over the chain 2 and slip stitch into the very first front post double crochet. So that's the round that we're going to keep repeating until we get the length of the turtleneck. So I'll go ahead and do mine, and I'll let you know how many rounds that I did in order to get my desired length. Alright, so for the neckline ribbing, we ended up doing a total of 20 rounds of front post, back post, and this is going to fold over, and it's going to create a look as you can see on the screen. So this is what the neckline is going to look like. Now you're going to go ahead and weave in all your ends, and let's see the final look of our cardigan. Alright guys, this is the final look of our cardigan. This is what it looks like after getting rid of all the loose ends. And I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Make sure you give it a thumbs up if you did, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!